Hello, everyone. I am Robin Baer with KC SourceLink and Missouri SourceLink. Thank you for sticking with us for day one. GEW really shines the light on the great things that happen all year long. There are thousands of classes, educational sessions, and networking events that happen throughout the year. These are made available on the KC SourceLink calendar. I encourage you to check it out after this session. Also, make sure you are signing up for the community events at gewkc.org. On top of great content, there is trivia tomorrow and bingo on Thursday. Don't miss that. That's going to be fun. Now, I'd like to introduce to you Sherry and Ken Lumpkins, and they are going to cover When the Music Stops, using technology to pivot during unexpected change. There you go, Sherry. Take it away.
Thanks, Robin. Like Robin said, I'm Sherry Lumpkins, and we are going to talk about today focusing on using technology when you want to pivot during this pandemic. I'm going to go ahead and bring Ken in.
All right. Hello, everyone. So today we're going to talk about exactly why we're here, what we should be doing now during this pandemic, how we should pivot, how can we really do this, and what do you need to know about tech? So pivoting isn't all about tech, but we're focused on tech, and so we're going to talk a little bit about opportunities there. So again, why are we here? Over 100,000 businesses have permanently closed due to the pandemic. Again, these are businesses temporarily closed for the pandemic. The COVID-19 happened. They decided that they needed to shut down for good. So tragic in terms of our economy and opportunities. That, of course, addressed the whole economy in terms of the economy suffered 32.9% in the second quarter. The economy has been suppressed. So consumers are also spending more time online during this time. So again, if we have stay-at-home orders, we know that we are spending more time at home and using more electronics. So in this pandemic, we understand that a pivot is necessary. So where businesses are struggling, we understand there's an opportunity because not all businesses are suffering. Some are actually thriving. Jeff Bezos, wow, the world's first ever 200 billion man, I almost said million, $1 billion man. So of course, the owner and CEO of Amazon, 89 billion in sales and 5 billion in profits in just this second quarter. So again, everyone is not suffering. There is a potential in terms of business and opportunities. And Jeff isn't the only story here. So if we look at key winners, Amazon, of course, but other retailers as well. So Walmart and Target. And when you think about these retailers, one of the things is that consumers are going and spending fewer trips when they go out. So those big box retailers like Walmart and Target, they're benefiting because they're not only taking advantage of the opportunity in terms of, one product, they have a broad spectrum of products, so people are able to shop on those fewer visits. Of course, Zoom technology and Slack. So what are the different connection and collaboration technologies? So everything is Zoom these days. Everything is virtual. And so all of these applications and come into play. And of course, again, we're spending more time at home. So Netflix, of course, has been one of the biggest winners, and also other technology providers that especially work in terms of gaming supplies as well. So that's where we have Microsoft and Sony that are really reaping tremendous rewards here. Home fitness, Peloton. So again, another big winners, and cleaning, of course. So Clorox. So making sure that everything is clean and sanitized, and that's what we need to do. Top Glove as well. So they're one of the largest manufacturers of gloves. So these people are really benefiting in terms of technology. So we understand that there's an opportunity. We just have to pivot.
Right. So how do we become the next Amazon or Peloton or Top Glove? We've shown that there are businesses that, even though the economy can shrink by a third, There are businesses that can really explode practically. And so if your business is one that has been negatively impacted, sometimes it's not a matter of just sitting back and saying, well, no one wants what I have at this time, so let me just take it. That's rather than do that, let's pivot. So before we get into how to pivot, let's all get on the same page about what a pivot is. When we're talking about pivoting, we're talking about using your existing resources with a new strategy. So you don't have to just start completely from scratch. And a pivot also can happen in different forms. It doesn't have to happen completely across the business. It can happen in one area. Some examples are, some of the most obvious one is that you have a product change to meet the need. A less obvious one, maybe this is the same product, but you change the way that you build and deliver it. Or maybe you have a core service offering with some supplemental offerings and that flip-flops. Or you change your revenue model. You used to have a subscription-based model, now you have an ad-based model. Or sometimes it is something as subtle but impactful as changing your message. I have a bakery and I used to kind of present my good wares as decadent indulgences. And now I consider them comfort food, something like that, or pleasant relief from the things that everyone's kind of going through. And so when we talk about pivoting, again, it's like that. If you do envision that basketball player, he's got the ball in his hand, he keeps one foot on the floor, planted firmly. That's my existing resource. And then we change direction. That basketball player can change direction and go any kind of direction he wants based on that one foot. That's the strategy. And so that's how we're moving forward with this. So now that we kind of got a good idea of what a pivot is, let's talk about how you do that. So first of all, you got to take stock of where we are now. What's that market look like, this pandemic market, what may become this new normal? Then look at what you've got and figure out where you fit in. What is it that I have? What problem can I solve? What need can I meet? What desire can I address? And then you look at your business and lay that against your business. Again, getting back to that pivot. What do I have? What resources can I have that I leverage in a different way? And then finally, what we are encouraging is that you leverage technology. So discover which kinds of technology are going to help you to make that pivot. So just to kind of help get our thoughts going, our brains, our wheels turning about maybe ways in which we can use our existing resources, we've kind of crafted 10 characteristics of this pandemic market, as we call it. And so if you read through them, I won't read through them in detail, you can actually see them. But if you read through them, some of them are obvious, some pivots are obvious. When we think about required, we think about masks are required. We think about essential, we think about essential workers and the supplies that they need. But don't just stop at the obvious. Some of these things, they can go ripple out and have less obvious implications. For example, when you look at shelter, shelter is everybody kind of had a shelter in place. We understand that. Well, did you know that one, furniture sales increased, that landscaping tools and supplies increased because everyone was at home. So it's not always completely obvious. So just think about ways, again, that your resources can kind of fit around that. This slide is really just to kind of, again, just give us a baseline of this is pretty much what every business does. If you're in business, you do this. And so what I'm going to do now is introduce a case study that aligns with this business practice and show how they pivoted and leveraged technology to do so. So BIST is one of our clients, and they produce classes for teachers in schools throughout the Midwest. Their product is, or service is, the classroom training and workbooks. They were selling online, so they had already kind of embraced technology to that point. They were already telling us about their product online. But the things that were missing was that they're producing these hard copy workbooks and conducting class in person. So when the world shuts down, as I call it, and they were unable to meet in person, there was an immediate need to say, how do we do this? So one thing that probably comes to mind is just like we're all doing now, they decided to have a Zoom type of classroom. But again, we've got this workbook. What do we do with this workbook? And so we had to take that and digitize it. But again, there was yet another catch. So we've got this a PDF document, we send it out and they can send it to as many people as they want. That was not an option. Only people who paid for the class are supposed to be able to get that workbook. And so what we did was we introduced digital rights management into that so that only the person that should get see the workbook does see it, that kind of thing. And we were also able to help them kind of corral that Zoom management all within their website. So now this entire process, their entire product flow is delivered via technology, and their website is their hub of where all of that happens. And the other beautiful thing about the technology piece is that once this has been implemented, they are never going to return to only hard copy workbooks. Even when we get back in the classroom, they're thrilled to offer digitized workbooks on their laptops. And so now I'll turn it back over to Ken so he can talk a little bit more about that technology piece.
Great. So just with that one case study on BIST, there are several different technology opportunities that were presented. So when we talk about those technologies, this is what you want to take note of. Your website is your hub. It is still your hub and the most central piece of your technology. So we'll talk about that as well. Security, streaming, software, mobile apps, digital communications, and data management. So these are the seven critical or crucial items you should consider and work toward for pivoting with your business. So we'll go ahead and spend a little time and talk about these resources and opportunities. So much of our client base includes clients that are leveraging their website for technology, and we have a range. So it's the nonprofit businesses, government businesses, churches. So it really runs the gamut in terms of website opportunities. But what we want to focus on here is just on the selling opportunity in terms of your website. So we'll go through some of these selling opportunities, and some of this includes some of our work. So this is an example of an event website that we had. And so we all understand, just like we're doing today, that live events create an opportunity, but we understand that these are selling opportunities. So with your live events, of course, you have ticket selling opportunities, you have sponsorship opportunities that are revenue generating opportunities. So again, if it's not really your space in terms of an event planner, maybe it's a retailer, but there's still other opportunities in terms of generating revenue with your website. Another client of ours, the Kansas City Parks and Recreation. So their core business, of course, isn't e-commerce. It isn't online selling. So you can go to the Kansas City Parks and Rec to find about activities and amusement and the parks, of course. But what they've done, again, in terms of a pivot, is realize that there's a product opportunity here. So they do have e-commerce built in as part of that. So you can go and purchase product from their website as well. So those are opportunities just to give you a glimpse of how people are using technology and able to add on as part of their pivot. But if we're really going to talk about e-commerce and true opportunities, we have to go to the leader of the pack. So again, Amazon, it doesn't get any larger than Amazon in terms of being the leader for revenue, job creation, and always pushing innovation, which is key. So when we talk about technology, we're talking about innovation. And so there are a couple of points here that, and we won't get into all of the detail, but we're going to go through as many as we can. But I want to summarize just a few points. a great product. Having a great product is always key. So that's even before, your website in terms of having that. We have to land on a great product. A platform that's easy to use, available customer service. So we're talking about web opportunities here, but your search capability. So if you really like Amazon and you have plenty of products, everyone needs something different. So we need to have search capability that's built in. Selling online means creating and driving urgency. Understand, driving urgency. This product that's always available, but if you tell people that it's a limited time and for certain offers, you create that opportunity and you create that urgency. Payment options, we need plenty of flexibility. So there's so many payment options that are available, and we need to make sure that we utilize that and are flexible. And then collecting contact information. So this is key as we get into, and we'll touch on that a little more. So there's a great guide in terms of optimizing your web, and there are 72 tips that are available if you look at your website, from homepage to the sub pages to contact pages. But we're only going to spend the time on just highlighting a quick about 20 of these tips, and we won't go into any great detail, but we do want to stress some of the optimization opportunities and with your web, and that's going to include securing your website, securing your browser. So people want to see that HTTPS, and that also helps with SEO. They want to see that search bar that we mentioned. One of the things I want to highlight is your unique value proposition. So we mentioned having a great product, but how do you stand out? So when we talk about those attributes, it's how they are placed on that website as well. So that adds to the user design and the flexibility and the ease of use. Number 5 on this particular list, risk reducers. So when they come to your website, are you offering free shipping? Give people one more reason that they should invest or sell or buy right now, and give them the ease with that experience. And so again, plenty of opportunities here. Loyalty program. So once we engage and collect information, we want to make sure that we have something else to add them to keep their interest away from competition as well. So again, optimizing your website. A couple of more that we'll highlight here. Your images, make sure that the images are good quality images, not just images. Take the time. Make sure that you invest in researching your copy for a particular website. So that feeds in again to the SEO, exactly what are customers searching for. So your website should contain keywords and copy that's not forced, but that recognizes your advantage, your products, and points that out. We want to make sure that the websites are responsive and mobile friendly. So this should be a given. So again, that helps and aids in everything that you do. So again, we won't go into detail on all of those points, but we wanted to make sure that we mentioned this as your starting platform.
Awesome. So we've got our brains going on what a pivot is, how do we pivot? Hopefully you've come up with some interesting ideas and twists that maybe you hadn't thought about before. So now that you're ready to get going and you want to get online and really jump into that, you've got to take a pause for dramatic effect, because we've got to talk about security. You should never be online without security. There are tons of different kinds of threats out there, cyber threats on the internet that try to get after your phone, that try to get on your computer. But we just kind of summarize some here. Some of them are malware, meaning software that gets into your system. Some of them are social engineering. So by social engineering, maybe your system is pristine and 100% secure, but someone calls you on the phone and goes, "Hey, I'm your boss, and I need the password to that big bank account." And whatever way they convincingly communicate that, and you give them the password. So you got to be careful of that as well. That's an extremely useful tool for hackers. Some of the different places that threats come from are software vulnerabilities. If you use Microsoft Office or Windows and you get patch notices, we want to patch this system. They've discovered a software vulnerability where somebody that shouldn't be in can get in. When you talk about the inattentive people or unaware people, what we just talked about, that are at risk of social engineering, or you get an email that looks so convincing that it is from Bank of America and it's not, and you click the link. Or removable media, somebody hands you a thumb drive and says, hey, can you open this file for me? Or again, on the web. So they're going to come from those kinds of places. So in order to counter all of those different types of things, there are different types of security. And again, just to keep things succinct, we won't go into detail on every single one of them, but just know that even from the smallest systems all the way up to the more sophisticated, you need to have security with your devices, with your software. You need to be aware and vigilant yourself, and with your network, the internet. So these are various items that you should be aware of. And let me just touch on another thing related to security and also keeping your business up and running is the business continuity. And again, this makes sense for the smallest of business all the way up to the largest of enterprises. The key to business continuity is when something does go wrong, you've prepared in a way that will minimize disruption to your business. So the first thing is backup plans and disaster recovery plans. Essentially, never store a fact just one time is really the bottom line to that. Devices, make sure that in this work from home situation, optimally, you're not having your employees work on their own personal computers. You have given them laptops to work on, and they are networked so that your systems guy can back things up and keep malicious players out of your system. Or you can think about software in lieu of devices. When I'm saying that, you can talk about voice over IP phone systems so that you don't have to buy all of your employees' mobile devices. And then collaboration and sharing tools also just help you with that business continuity. If one of the players is unavailable, unreachable, everybody has access to the information that they need. And that's going to be the same with CRM, the customer relationship management tools, just allowing everyone who needs to see the information to be able to access that information. The final thing I want to touch on briefly is email accounts. I still periodically run into some businesses that will let some of their team members use a gmail.com account. The reason that Gmail is beautiful for your personal accounts, for your business accounts, again, when that person is no longer associated with the company, you don't have control over that email to get to your own business information. So make sure that you're able to maintain control of your email account. So now let's go ahead and transition into streaming.
Okay, great. So now that we have our website, we have our security plan, we can start our outreach. And again, this is where we talk about opportunities beyond our current space or enhancing or optimizing those opportunities. And so again, we know that we're in a virtual space. So where are the virtual opportunities in your particular business? We'll just touch quickly on a couple of clients and opportunities. Kansas City Friends of Alvin Ailey. So they conducted a class or youth camp every year. The picture to the lower left is a picture of previous years. And the main picture there is this current year. So you move from that live experience to a virtual experience where you have a computer and you have an instructor, and you're still able to reach over 70 kids, providing them instruction, education. So again, where are those opportunities in terms of adding that to your business? American Jazz Walk of Fame. So here in Kansas City, we're in the home of one of the homes of jazz, right there on 18th and Vine. And so the Jazz Walk of Fame was an annual event in June. And from that particular event, they hosted an event a concert at the Gym Theater, 500-seat venue. The pandemic happened. Now we have to pivot. So now there are new opportunities to present. So instead of a 500-person event, that pivot allows us to reach thousands, tens of thousands of people global, worldwide, not just Kansas City, based on that pivot. And so those are the opportunities that we seek and ask you to think about as you think about your business. But streaming is beyond just that one-click opportunity. So many are familiar with the easy hit the Facebook Live and go live, but we're talking about an age of sophistication when it comes to your streaming. So maybe you've done at least that. You've gone live on your business page, or but there's still an additional opportunity. So maybe now there's time to add courses. Maybe there's time to add more of that production element. So again, what this speaks to are the basic components of streaming, meaning that you're going to capture an experience, you're going to process that, meaning that the computers are working to send that feed to the internet and then distribute to your channel. So it's really a 1, 2, 3 process. So the complexity becomes, again, if you want to be more sophisticated in terms of your service. So instead of a 1-camera view, do you want to have 2 cameras to be more professional? Do you want to introduce sound? So again, as you expand the opportunity, you expand the experience and you expand your selling opportunity as well. So that's what we really speak to. Now we're going to move on to another topic, mobile apps. So mobile apps have dramatically increased in terms of the opportunity. So now we're looking at that mobile apps have reached a historic 27 billion in revenue just in the second quarter, over 35 billion, nearly 35 billion, a high that has been reached in terms of app downloads. And so when we talk about revenue opportunities, when we talk about using technology, this is one of the spaces that we really want to make sure that we leverage as well. So what are those opportunities or options available in your space? So here are just a couple of examples that we'll just briefly touch on. So GEWKC, they have a great application. And one of their features is an AR, augmented reality, which really means that you're layering animation or visual or components onto the current environment, or onto the current environment. So one of the features of their app that you can purchase certain shoes and feature those shoes on your feet with their app. So again, a tremendous opportunity with their app. And it also does the same thing for masks and lipsticks and hats and many other features. So a tremendous opportunity with AR. So again, can you expand in that space? One of our apps, KC Soul. So again, in terms of the retail experience, creating loyalty programs with your experience, helping customers navigate around town, it's all possible based on your app. Safety and convenience. So sometimes you think about, this is a real estate company, RXR, and they've gone, beyond just worrying about rentals and in their commercial or residential space. They've provided opportunities with their map. So when thinking about the COVID experience and safety, you can order cleaning from their particular app. You can find out if a certain conference room is filled to capacity based on heat mapping. So those are some of the opportunities that are available with applications. And just to give you a teaser in terms of some of the opportunities. And we know that the food market and the grocery market has been tremendous in terms of opportunities. So here is international food retailer, grocery, Carrefour, and they've got locations all over, headquarters in France. But one of their applications, they've got a smart scan feature. So in terms of thinking about this touchless journey, and safety, you can scan products just using your mobile phone, and you can purchase your products from that device as well. So again, tremendous opportunities. That's in addition to opportunities such as ordering food and for curbside service or for delivery. So they have all of that as well, but tremendous opportunities. So what, for your particular business, can you leverage? Because we understand that COVID isn't going away anytime soon. How can we build and leverage and invest in software to help us build?
Awesome. So speaking of leveraging and investing in software, just going to spend just a quick second talking about that. A lot of the things that we've talked about today are dependent on software. The mobile apps, the BIST case study that we did, the website that we talked about, e-commerce stores, all of that is software as a component. And so just very quickly, most of us have probably heard of the cloud at least, even if we don't know what it is. And so just very quickly, software can become complex, and the cloud platforms will help us to actually speed up the process, make it less complex, and make it more affordable. And so the most common cloud platform is AWS, and A is in Amazon, as in Bezos. So that guy knows how to pivot. And then there are a couple of other, Microsoft Azure and Oracle has come up with one. So cloud platforms are to be considered. And just very quickly talking about software options, when we've got, you can have mass produced type of software, meaning if there's a need that kind of everybody has, just like any other product, you can mass produce it and then sell it. So on off-the-shelf software is something that you can consider if it fits your needs. You really don't want to get a piece of software and then force your work into it. You want to understand what your business is and then find the right software. So again, one of a very common one would be of an off-the-shelf, maybe like an e-commerce store. I'm going to purchase this system to let me process my e-com. Or my what I'm selling. That in that situation, an off-the-shelf type of deal will probably work well for you. It's going to cost less than a custom-built solution, and just be able to roll out faster. Usually, when you're talking about off-the-shelf, you're either purchasing licenses or subscriptions, like monthly or annual subscriptions. When you're talking about off-the-shelf software, it usually should not be for whatever your core offering is, because as Ken mentioned earlier, you're looking for something unique, a reason for people to choose your business over someone else's, and a mass-produced type of software is usually not going to fit that. It's the opposite of that. So that's when you're looking at the custom. And custom, you're having someone build the software to meet your specific needs. This may indeed be your core offering. Because again, it's unique. Or it could also be part of a hybrid solution, meaning there's a piece of your system that is off-the-shelf software. There's a piece of solution that's custom, and then and they integrate with one another. Speaking of integration, let's talk about data management for just a second. One thing that is very important about being able to really get sophisticated about using your business resources wisely is to understand who your target audience is, your customer is. So that's when we talk about the single view of a customer. And by that, we mean we all engage in several different ways. We check our emails, we subscribe to newsletters, we buy things online, we post to Facebook. There are all sorts of ways that we interact. If you have clients that you can reach that way and collect different information about them, those things will be in different systems. You want to try to bring those together so that you can understand who your client is. If you understand who your client is, you can meet their needs better, and you can become a better business because of it. Now, when we talk about collecting information about your clients, you have got to be a good data steward. You have a responsibility. So you want to collect the information to improve your efficiency, like we've talked about. You are going to collect it in several different ways and then bring it all together. The key thing you have to do, just like we've talked about your security, is secure that information. You're doing it for your benefit as well as your client's benefit. PII is personally identifiable information. You have to be very careful with that. And then in your industry, depending on what that is, you may have even additional levels of compliance that you are legally bound to abide by. For example, if you are in healthcare, then you have HIPAA requirements, and there are just different types of things for different types of industry. So as you're thinking about how to leverage technology and how to pivot your offering, then I'll be aware of the ways that you need to protect that information. So let's talk a little bit about digital communications now.
So we are just coming close to the end here, and we'll wrap up with and hopefully allow time for a couple of questions here. But digital communications, we're just going to highlight this, but this is one of the key key pivot tools for technology. So email, SMS, and social media. So email, let's not forget about how important email is in terms of communication. So one of the most important points, and Sherry just mentioned in terms of collecting data and those data points, your email is one of the most central pieces of communication. And that gives you, when customers are, of course, opting in terms of that communications, that's giving you an opportunity to reach back out to them. So if we look at numbers, even more than social media, businesses saw 174% more conversions through email than social media. So let's not forget about email. But something that has more reach and opportunity, or at least more reach, let's say that, then email is SMS, your text messages, your good old, everyone has a smartphone. So open nearly 98% of the time are your text messages, and responded even more in terms of conversions, 45%. So again, that's tremendous in terms of that. And of course, social media has that reach. So again, 3.5 billion, nearly half of the world's population is on social media. So if you're not engaged in social media, there are plenty of platforms and software opportunities in all three of these areas. So we were not going to go into any great detail, but again, we wanted to highlight those for you. And here's where you start your research. So again, we're talking about a great field in terms of technology. So we just listed a couple of opportunities in terms of starting. So web support to streaming, collaboration, here are just some of the tools that are available. And so in each of these areas, if you're looking for, FinTech, more financial technology solutions or social media apps, there's really an app and a service available for all of this. And again, you can reach out to a custom software provider as well to help you develop and navigate this particular opportunity. So with that, I think we're ready to close, and I'm going to ask Sherry just to go ahead and close with our.
Sure. So we just want to bring it back to why we're here. And it's because we're trying to figure out how to pivot during this pandemic, the market change that the pandemic triggered. And we want to think about ways that we can use our resources and come up with a new strategy, and then optimally leverage technology to implement that new strategy. A successful pivot does all of those things. You identify your new opportunities, you adjust your strategy, you leverage your existing resources, and then you leverage the technology. So with that, if there are any questions or anything like that, we'd love to entertain those. While we're thinking about that, some interesting pivots that we were able to come across were Twitter, for instance, started out as a podcasting platform. Amazon was a bookstore. PayPal started out as sending IOUs back and forth from Palm Pilots. I don't know how many of us are on board who remember Palm Pilots, but that was a thing. Palm Pilots didn't survive, PayPal has. So there are just tons of ways that you can think about pivoting. So if there are any questions or anything like that, we can meet you out in the hall. It's been a pleasure presenting this. We hope we got your wheels turning. Hope you come up with awesome imaginative ideas for your pivot and leverage technology. Thanks so much.
And that's the next slide. So we do want to invite you, so we will provide this deck on our website, so you can just visit bluesymphony.com. And so we'll be getting that up. You can just send us a message if you want to receive that. So again, we thank you for your time and participation here, and pleasure providing some information that hopefully is beneficial. Thanks a lot.